Okay. Well, with our having the early Thursday game, we're well into our preparation for the next game, and a good bit further along than would be on a normal Tuesday. And so we've kind of put the last game behind us, try to learn from the mistakes, learn from correcting the things that we can correct. Hopefully the experience will prove beneficial to our players. You always hate to lose, and then when the score is like it is, you don't want that to take away from when you look at the video and see the players play hard and certain people do things well, and you see so many things that you can gain from and grow from in that game, and that's what we see. But still, we've now had to put the last one behind us and get ready for another tough game against Florida International. Florida International, again, that as we looked into the season, just like Central Florida, preseason picked to win their conference, beat us last year, and now we've got to head to game 2 down in Miami. They did not have a good opening game against Duke, and Duke hit some big plays, got ahead of them early, and it was just catch up the whole game. So on the one hand, we can always see things that hurt them in that game, and that's something our kids can gain from. But also, it should they'll come into that game fired up and needing now to get back on the winning track if their preseason prognostications were true. So we expect a team that will be ready to play, that will want to get back on track. But right now, we're just focused on what we can do and getting better at what we do, and strive to go out there and play the best game we can play at this time.
Anybody you were pleased with in particular off of last week that you were maybe?
Let me single out a few. I was pleased with a lot of guys. Most everybody, I was pleased with their effort and their willingness to give everything they had. But some guys that really stood out, that made plays. Cody Grice on defense, especially because he moved to that nose guard position or that inside position. We expected he was playing good in the preseason, but he really, at 5'11", 6 foot, 280 pounds, 75 pounds, really stood up the center, pushed him. We got a lot of push on the deep offensive line, and then also made 8 plays, 8 tackles, and was just very, very active. He was probably the surprise of the entire game. Offensively. LT and Marquello, Smith and Marquello. Probably LT was the key. He made some couple of big catches and made plays out there. Some other receivers, because receivers have to catch the ball. We throw it enough times. So I think LT first, and maybe just the solid play of our quarterback, not knowing how he would do in his first collegiate start. And I was real pleased for him, and for the solid way in which he played. He can do a lot of. He can continue to improve, but I think he was the other person I thought we would I could say single out.
Why were you surprised about Cody?
Just playing nose guard at the collegiate level after being mostly a running back at Firestone, a little bit of a defensive line. Now how's he going to play it inside and at that position in a pure game situation as a redshirt freshman? There was just so many unknowns. And then to be able to I think the first thing, if you study the film, George, you'd see him getting push on a big 300-pound lineman or somebody that's bigger than him, getting pushed into the backfield, which is what you need to do to help out the linebackers. And then him being active enough to get off plays and make. That's a real unique talent a lot of guys don't have. They get in all that close proximity. People close proximity to him, they don't feel natural in there. He just feels really natural. A lot like the old-fashioned 50 defense nose guard that jumped around and moved around a lot. That's I think Coach Stroud works him in that type of style, and he plays that style very well.
Was there any position that you were apprehensive about that did or did not do well?
Well, I think both sides of the line of scrimmage, physically able to stop the run physically, because we're undersized and we're not able to do that. We've got to show we're able to stop the run when people are going to run against us. And I think, and then offensively, the same thing, to get more explosiveness out of our running attack. That takes 5 linemen working together on offense and a back that can read the hole properly and then make something happen that's not there. Then defensively, being able to physically stand up to a team that's going to come right at you. Those are 2 areas that we were uncertain about, and we didn't really prove that we could stop that. or we could sustain. I think in our offense, you look, we had 61 yards rushing, minus 20 something, about 90 something if you didn't count the sacks. We need a 50 or 60. You throw a 50 or 60 yarder in there, which you'd like to get in the one back or two set, and then you're all of a sudden sitting around 150. You got to be around that 150 plus. I think as those numbers tie in, I'm never going to get too much into numbers, but 2.6 yards per carry, a little bit. You're not getting enough bang for your buck. And then defensively, they didn't play. They touched it. They ran every time. They didn't get held to a field goal. It was always a touchdown.
What about your depth of running back? I think Quentin Hines, I don't know what you were expecting from him, but I thought he ran pretty hard.
Joe, the problem running back is I think when you get to being good, you got about two guys that you can rotate. You rotate two, and you got two. We're still looking at four trying to find one. We got four trying to find one that's backed up by one, and we got four, and each guy does a little something. Juwan comes as more of a classic eye back who's still learning to read the zone inside and outside from a tighter position. Connor Hunley was surprisingly but thicker bodied power, and the two younger guys have the speed and the explosive to break it, but don't quite have the. They need more reps too. So I think as long as you see us repping full, we're not quite where we need to be, because we're not getting enough reps with a guy. When I got a good back, I want him to see. You got to see it enough times, like see it a back of battle. You got to see the pitch enough times to find the right way to handle it. And I think I want somebody I want two to emerge from our group, and that's what we got to do. And you hate to make sometimes you're not, even if you're not quite ready to make it, you make it anyway. And those two will get all the reps, and they'll be better no matter what. And then you just got to go with it, because right now we still see some good things out of all four of our running back, tailback style running backs.
Are you saying 4 plus Juwan, or you count?
No, Juwan's 1, Connor, Quentin, and Hakeem.
You got 4.
And the tailback. Trying to get somebody to stand down. Give me a 1 and his backup.
Yeah.
Well, I want 1 and his backup. And sometimes that'll happen. It happens quick. That's because I think if you're saying, okay, we're going to try to get 4 reps, that's not what I like doing. 4 guys getting the reps, which is what we're trying to still do a little bit.
You had a couple fumbles with Connor and Juwan. You pulled them right afterwards. Is that just sending them a message?
Well, that was a critical mistake he made there. The mistake we made right before halftime. Connor got hit by a quick, what we call a trap or a corner fire on a short yardage, and didn't see him coming, and he got a hold on that football because he really didn't fumble, hit the ground, and Juwan should know down and distance. We're 30 seconds left. Try to get it up in there. If you get outside, tuck it in and get on the ground. But I don't think there was really. We came back next half and played some other guys too. But again, we're just still looking. I don't think if I've got a good guy and he's my guy, I'm not going to pull him out if he fumbles once. I might pull him out and bring him down, settle him down or something. But I think right now it's more the case of us still looking at 4 guys. We can't have the fumbles. We had a fumble on a punt return, at the 9-yard line. Juwan's at the 5-yard line. Connor's at the 22-yard line. All those led to 21 points, pretty easy points. And that got that score out of hand for us before we had a chance.
What's the story of Jared Pugsley at this point?
Pugsley is day to day. He's got he played with a sprained ankle. He sprained it right maybe midweek before the first game, and we kind of brought him. We kind of just kept him out of a lot of drills and got him ready for the game. But he was limping throughout the game from the first series on. So we're going to take it day to day. He's getting treatment every day, doing what he can, and we're going to take it day to day and see where he goes. I think that's a game time decision. But I would rather him get well and play full strength than play half for 6 more weeks.
Was he just on the bike today?
Mostly Vikings today, because we're kind of got a day ahead work, and so he's kind of on a bike, and so but he's also standing behind during certain drills, making he's got the assignments now. So I'm right in the middle of one. I don't want him out there getting a lot of work and having 6 more weeks of a soft sprained ankle when we just going to have to suck it up and bear the bullet and let move the offensive line around. So we'll do several things. We can move Brumbaugh out, Switzer to a guard, and Rizzo to the center position, and have guys that have played a lot. But it's not. You always say, well, it's pretty good, but it's still in your front 5. it does weaken us up to other places to do that.
What about Keon Baines?
Keon Baines is out for the year. He had 2 plays he got into in that game, tore his ACL on the second play. So a backup linebacker, true freshman from Sefter Armwood in Florida, and so he'll be out for the season and with medical red shirt. Was there and then Zach Durazio, who had separated a shoulder in the spring. The doctors were not going to let him play the second game. They let him hold snaps the first game, but would not let him play wide receiver. So he's back now, playing at that position with Marquella, Sewell, and Potts. So will allow us to be a little more depth at that position. But also, as we eventually get to our 4 wides, we'll try to find the best 4, just like a running back, find the best 4 to put out there when we're in 4 and 3 wide outs. But he does give us a big body who had an outstanding spring, and gives us a bigger body from our wide receiver position. You know, we do a lot of bubble screens and things like you see everybody in the world doing. Those guys become blockers on those type of things, and when you're 160 pounds, you're not nearly as good. He's 211 pounds, and so it's a little different having a wide receiver at 211. Yes?
I mean, not that much in the numbers, but you ran 81 plays. Is that good? Do you ever have a number of that?
You know, that's right. You know, that's up there with the top of the. Anytime you run 75 to 85 plays, you're out there, and the numbers are good. But the bottom line is scoring points. You know, so based on the way we run our offense, that's a good number. But still, it's like any other offense. It's a matter of getting into the end zone and being able to be productive into points. And so we're running our offense. I think tempo-wise, slowing down, speeding up, doing those things. Now I saw where FIU had 91 offensive plays, I remember. So whatever we're doing, they got about 10 more plays, and they didn't score a lot of points. It's still about scoring plays. I try to watch it closely. Am I putting the defense on the field too many times? And a time of possession, and sometimes you can have paralysis by analysis. But my dad told me a long, long time ago, the object of the offense is to go out there and score as many points as they can, and the defense's objective is to let them score as little as they can. Don't worry too much about, holding back on offense and punt. Go out there and we didn't score enough points. But I think as far as running the tempo, that's what Dalton did a good job of. We moved it down. I don't know how many 3 and outs, not many, one early, but we've got to be able to finish our drives and finish with points, So one thing about the offense, if you run a ball possession offense and 3 plays and a first down, 2 plays and a first down, and you got 8 minutes off, and then you drive it down to the 12 and miss a field goal, you just wasted 8 minutes of offense, and it's now nothing. And same thing, if you can drive down fast and miss, you have an accomplishment. You got to, whether you drive slow or you try to ball control on the clock or you try to move fast, you need to end up with points. We missed a field goal early. As the thing was progressing, they got 7, we came down, missed a field goal. They got 7, we came down and had a 4th and 5, and could have had the ball right in the hands and missed it where it caught it on about the 15-yard line, 18-yard line, and we didn't finish drives. And so as that happened, that's how it progressed.
The special teams errors, are those things you would consider just correct?
Fumble punt. Fumble's got to be corrected or get somebody else that doesn't fumble. We punted 4 times, and twice we had good coverage. Twice I thought we had line drive punts or a little bit low that got returned on. It's 20 yards one. 50. The last one was a real line drive. We had I think a 36-yard punt with a 20-yard return. There was no hang time. And then the last one was a 50-yard line drive punt with a 50-yard return. So that's 2 of them. Kickoffs were all good. We kicked off 3 times. Sky kick got 27-yard line. We've got to the 19. Then we sky kicked to 37. They had one of the top return teams. So they didn't block anything or return any for touchdown. So field position, I thought, hurt us on the 2 punts, and then the fumbled punt were the biggest things that we had.
So let's talk about the sky kicks. I've heard different coaches with the new rules.
Right. Well, the new rule says you kick off the 35,
Right.
and the ball comes out to the 25.
Right.
And the officials, the NCAA says we're trying to eliminate a dangerous play. I don't know why we don't just start the game on the 20 if they don't want to do that, because it seems like to be we ought to throw it out if you don't want to have it. But we were, and normally, and we have a pretty good kicker. Normally, we'd want to kick it in the end zone because the team's not usually going to run it out. Now they can be on the 25 by just downing it anywhere in the end zone. But they had a fairly top 5 kick return team. One of the top return men in the country. Hall was his name. Randall Hall, I believe, was his name, or Hall. And so we decided that was the best chance to not give them a big play was to sky kick. So we had Stein kick it. And the first one, we stopped him on the 27-yard line, which is right there around the 25. The next time, we kicked it deep. I don't know what the case. We kicked it, or they bobbled it, and we got him on the 19. And then we sky kicked it. The guy a little bit shorter, he got it on the 37. But all those were close within that range. But I think the rules, NCAA rules, that's not what they intended for, because if you're kicking from the 35, you can sky kick it down to the 25 and get under it. And so you might see a lot more teams doing that to not even take even the chance of returning it. But I think what will happen around the country and with us is if you got a kicker that can get it anywhere in the end zone, more and more teams will say, let's just down and take on 25. There's penalties. We didn't have penalty. No, we didn't have penalty draw. We just didn't have any good. We had 9 returns. And here's the way if you don't get to the 25, I think the defense wins. 25 to 35, both teams did a pretty good job. Outside the 35, you've done something special to put us in a better field position. We were on the 35 one time, within the 25 to 35 twice, and 6 times less than the 25. So we've got to do a better job. It's kind of like finding the runner that can run, find the returner that can return, and the punter that won't punt. We got new guys at all those positions. We don't return a veteran punt return, and so we fumbled a punt return. We're trying to find that kick return guy. Usually when you lack lots and lots of great skill people, those are the areas that also suffer a little bit. You don't have a special. The kick return, 90% of it's a great return guy. Punt guy, 90% of it's a guy that can catch it, dodge somebody, and get 10 yards upfield.
Coach, what impresses you most about the Florida International after watching the tape?
Their talent level, their skill. Defensively, they are athletic, even maybe a little more so than Central Florida, but they run around a lot more. Central Florida is going to play a much more conservative, put very good people in a position to play solid football and not let you get behind them, play solid, don't blitz a lot, whereas Florida National, they'll come after you pretty good with blitzes, and they run around. They do a lot more. They're more active on defense and a little bit faster. I'm not sure they play better defense than Central Florida, and they surely didn't play as well Saturday against Duke as they had last year. Then offense, they got a veteran quarterback who runs kind of our offense, put up nice numbers last year, but didn't put the ball in the end zone. And so, but I think what's concerns you, from like a South Florida team you'd expect, they go out there with a lot of athletes. A lot of good athletes that can run, and defensively, if you're one step ahead of them, you're in decent shape, and if you're one step behind them, you're playing behind the chains, they can get after you. Duke hit some big plays early, ran some deep balls, got behind them, scored, ran a misdirection, got somebody wide open, scored, and hit 2 or 3 of those early and got ahead 21, and all of a sudden, they didn't play from behind very well, and so you got to look at that and see that you just don't go out there and try to get a first down. You don't want to peck at them. I don't think you can peck at a team like that with such big play potential. So, but it's their athletic ability first that scares you the most. Their ability to run and play. They've taken. Mario Cristobal has been there, I know, 6-8 years, but he's been able to slowly build. And last year he got to where they're a bowl team, and this year they hope to be the same.
I don't know if you agree with if you watch any football over the weekend or not.
I did get a chance to watch a lot this past weekend.
Did it hit you that maybe our schedules looks a lot tougher after these games? I mean, the way some of the MAC teams played, or
there's not
do you even worry about it?
It's not a question in your mind that when you sit there and if you come out of a BCS school where you were always the favored, Western Michigan would come to town at Auburn, or Akron would come to town at Auburn, and you were trying to say, okay, we got that one between these other 2 biggies. But when you're sitting in the MAC and you watch the level of schedule of play that you have in your non-conference, when those guys are scheduling you as their game before their tough schedule, and then you see how well the established teams in our conference play. You can see where it's a dog-eat-dog world in a conference, and nobody gets out unscathed very much. And the conference champions is going to have a few losses on the schedule, So that was one of the impressions I had at the conference. Wow, every week, 12 weeks where we are, every week's a battle to get a win here, a win there. But I think that's been the way the conference has gone. When you look at the number of champions that have had in the last 10 years and the way it's gone, there's we've all got it's like when you're you don't say, okay, I'll get 2 or 3 wins in the conference because I'm gonna get me 3 or 4 on non-conference real easy. You don't. That's not the way you got to go out and fight for everything you can get in this conference. And it's gonna be it's gonna be a great challenge, but it's one that all the conferences I think has embraced. Each team has embraced the opportunities. Ohio did well. I stayed up till 3 o'clock watching Toledo play Arizona.
Oh.
And that was just such an interesting game, and the way that game was played, and their ability. Bowling Green and Florida, and the way that game was played, and their chances. Stein, both brothers hit the upright on the first field goal. Their brothers, one for kicking for Bowling Green, one kicking for us, and both hit the left upright. Illinois should have beaten Iowa, wasn't it? That is, should have beat them in that game. So, the one thing I would say is that's where you can see where the experienced teams who have a little bit, it's where you want to be. Have an experienced team that goes into these games feeling like you got a little more weapons in there, a little more playing, a little more ability, and then a little bit of I know that you play the Central Floridas and the Florida. Sometimes up north you don't understand how good the South Floridas, the Florida Internationals, and the Central Floridas are because they're fairly new schools, but they're. I've watched South Florida knock off Florida State and West Virginia, and all the Big Easts had to play these schools, and Central Florida's about level, and Florida International's that level. So they're all tough ones there.
You had a lot of good teaching points I think you got on film, but there's that one after they scored, offense was able to get some field position advantage, was able to punt, spin inside the 10, defense went 3 and out, offense got the ball in good field position,
midfield,
drove down, ended up missing that field goal. But was that a teaching point to show the guys the small ball part of it?
There's so many, right? I mean, that's one. There's so many. I mean, that one, you get an opportunity like that with decent field position to come away with points. You got to do it. But again, it's not like the guys weren't trying or somebody didn't understand the circumstances. We've got to execute better so that we can take advantage of those circumstances and those situations. And there were so many good teaching points in a game where you get beat, or just like when you win and when you lose especially. And that was one of them. You get field position, let's take advantage of it, see if you have a little something, But then you go out there, do I strike them quick? A lot of coaches like to strike quick when they get a turnover and a quick change of possessions, or defense haven't been on the field, off the field very long, and take it over top. All of a sudden, the second 10, or do you say, well, let's go out there and make sure we got 3 good plays, get a first down or 2 to make sure we get down in field goal range. So, it's all a matter of you got to play your team and to play to what you're able to do. So, but it was a good teaching point. Those were all good teaching points for us.